All right. Hello and welcome to the next episode of 3D and 30. Today we're going to be looking at Rapid+TCT. We're going to give you a preview of that show, which is now less than a week away. Definitely getting excited about that one. It's coming very soon. So this is 3D and 30. And if you're not familiar with 3D and 30, 3D and 30 is Velo3D's LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live channel. So we host sessions about every 2 weeks, but with the trade show schedule, we're kind of shifting things a little bit. So we haven't had one of these in a little while. We're excited to get back on the air with you. If you want to see what the show schedule looks like, please follow us on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure to get you the latest and greatest schedule there. We do have a couple sessions coming up that I think everyone's are going to find extremely interesting. Some amazing speakers are coming up pretty soon. But today we're talking about Rapid. So this year we're going to, obviously this is the Velo3D booth. So you're going to see new parts, you're going to see new applications, new materials, and we're going to break that down and give you a sneak peek today. To help me talk about that is Velo3D's Director of Business Development, Zach Walton. So this is a newly created position. We're actually going to mention that a little bit. Zach?
Hey, how's it going? Nice to be back.
And our Senior Field Marketing Manager, Katelyn Spuhler, who is running our trade shows. So this is the first time Katelyn's been on the show. So welcome, Katelyn.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So great to see everybody. Zach, we mentioned kind of a new role that was created. Maybe you could give us some background there and what's new with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, it's great to be back. So here recently we started another branch of the technical side of our commercial team. So about a year ago, we started our technical sales engineering team, which was focused on the kind of education and kind of first time use of our technology. And we saw great success there. And so we started a new position that's staffed with quite a few industry experts. So folks with 10+ years in design, manufacturing, using legacy manufacturing processes, as well as some use of legacy metal AM and understanding some of the compromises that arise in trying to use metal 3D printing. And so we staffed this team to really focus on the next step after the introduction to our technology, which is moving towards working with OEMs that are moving towards production and really wanting to use and leverage our system and our capabilities to really kind of scale their supply chains and move any of their applications into production.
And you mentioned that we've got designers on our staff and you're talking with designers. Where do you see that transition between someone making their own design and then our team helping or assisting?
Yeah, so it's usually we don't necessarily get to pick that, but we're all across the design phase. So we have folks that we're working with from the very early aspects of their new design, all the way into folks that are already in production and wanting to kind of use our capabilities to either lower the compromises they're making, scale their supply chains, or work on their next generation platforms. And so obviously it's best at the beginning of the design cycle because you really get to take full advantage of what our capabilities are, but currently working throughout all those different phases.
And is this something that someone has to pay for?
No, not at all. And so what it is, it's more of a partnership with these OEMs that are wanting to move in production across our contract manufacturing network. So they don't even have to own a machine or have the intent to own a machine to be able to produce their designs and their parts. What we do is we partner together. We work on not just the immediate need, but the future needs, just to make sure that we have the roadmap kind of planned out in terms of materials, capabilities, so that we also meet their needs in the future.
No, so even if somebody is just interested in or curious about metal additive manufacturing, it sounds like they should be reaching out to you pretty early in the process then.
Absolutely. That's always the best time to do it. And part of this team, the industries that we've kind of pulled these resources from are in the same industries that we target. So aviation, aerospace, oil and gas, energy.
Fantastic. All right, Katelyn, first time on the show. So
Yes.
what's new with you?
Oh, I just gearing up for Rapid. I've been with Velo about a year now, and this was my very first show when I started with Velo. So I'm happy to go back. We have a lot of exciting things. 3 new parts we're presenting at this year's Rapid that we haven't shown before. A lot of good stuff. So our booth will be 1508, and the show's in Detroit this year. This is our booth right here. It will be a little bit different on the show floor, but we're taking over 45 parts that are printed on our machines to showcase there. And we have 2 meeting rooms in our booth. We already have 40 meetings scheduled, which is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we're doing live demos in the booth. We're going to have tons of different staff from different departments, sales, business development, technical sales, marketing. So everyone, on our team, that they're able to answer those questions. For speaking opportunities, we submitted some awards. So just a lot going on. Very exciting.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now, I know that one of the hot points is always the parts. What's new in terms of the parts? What should people come and see that they've never seen before?
So we have a new part that was printed on our XC machine that will be showcased there, as well as a part that's a copper part. And our team, we can go in more detail, and a 1MZ rocket nozzle as well that's on showcase. But other ones that people are always impressed by is we have a low angle disc, our chainmail. Everyone loves to see that on the floor and play with it. Just a lot of good parts that people walk in and they say, wow, is this as printed? And that's always exciting to hear that and have those discussions.
Well, let's get into the parts a little bit. I've heard a lot about copper lately. It seems like it is, for lack of a better term, the hot metal that everybody's printing in. And Zach, I understand your team's been working on this. Can you give us a little bit of background on what this part looks like and what this part does?
Yeah, absolutely. So, historically here at Velo, we've let the industries kind of guide where our developments go. And obviously the space industry is a huge user of laser powder bed fusion. And so here recently, there's been a lot of pickup on one of the NASA alloys that was developed in the family of alloys called GR-COP. And so these are, alloys that were developed by NASA. They're copper, chrome, and niobium alloys that offer really great mechanical properties and conductivity at much higher temperatures. And so the specific part of GR-COP is the GR-COP 42 is the one we developed, which is the most of the one the industry is developing. And the majority of use, obviously, in the space industry, since it was developed by NASA, really for a lot of the high heat flux applications, such as combustor devices and liquid rocket engines. And so what you see here is kind of one of those chambers or combustion devices that you would typically see with the internal cooling channels and some of our low angle features on the outside.
It looks amazing, and it's the first one in a different color. Like all of our metals up till now have kind of been this gray color, and now we have a little bit of warmth in our.
You never knew until you picked it up, and in terms of like weight between titanium, Inconel, but now it's 100% different color.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We do have a question from the audience. Will we go live at the event so we can see, see the booth in action? We actually will not be broadcasting live from Rapid+TCT. It is something that I've looked at in the past. What you run into is, I don't know how many people are expected to be here. Is this like a 20,000 person show?
Typically maybe 5,000 to 8,000, I think, in the last couple years, but I know it's been growing for sure.
Yeah. So you've got, 8,000 people all trying to use the same Wi-Fi. It ends up being slightly problematic to do live streams from these shows. So
we typically have quite a bit of posting by the end of it too, like close to the end of the day, dispersing from the audience and having quite a bit on a lot of the social media sites. Which
is a great plug. You should follow Velo3D if you want to see those posts. So yeah, we won't be live, but we will be putting up posts of the show, and so you can see all these parts and these conversations as well. So yeah, great question. And again, we are live today, so please feel free to ask questions at any time. Happy to answer those live. So you mentioned the Sapphire XC, I think, Katelyn, and Zach, I think you've seen this part in person, the one that we printed?
Yep, absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit more about maybe the Sapphire XC and what this part is specifically?
Yeah, so we've talked a lot recently about the Sapphire XC, and XC, in that title is for extra capacity. So parts that you can print on the Sapphire, moving it up to a much larger build volume with increased number of lasers, so higher throughput, allows for a dramatic reduction in cost. But the other application we're seeing from that is obviously with this bigger build volume is larger parts. And so we really wanted to showcase that here at Rapid. And we thought the best way to do that is one of the first parts that we kind of showcased at conferences once we released the Sapphire, the standard Sapphire system, was a stator ring. We had a pencil across it, really showing everything for size. And so what we wanted to do is kind of show a very similar stator ring and really show the dramatic increase in scale. And so if you see here, you can see in the top right corner, that is a pencil to scale of the actual part. So we're very excited for folks to be able to see this, kind of get their hands on it, and to see the true size of what the system's capable of beyond the extra capacity that it also offers.
So not a banana.
Not a banana.
that seems to be another trend. I don't know the history of it, but I'm sure it's a great. Do you know the story about the banana for scale, where that comes from?
I've seen it. I do not know 100% where it comes from, but we could go ahead and put one in the lower left next time.
I know, and you know, hats off to Launcher. They're one of the companies I've seen doing that. They're a great partner of ours, great customer of ours. So, yeah, banana for scale. So that'll be our next thing we put out there. So, but it's a big part. I mean, this thing is. What does this thing weigh?
I don't know the true weight off the top of my head, but I mean, it's you know, several hundred pounds. I know, like, you know, from my history of coming from oil and gas in my early design days, a lot of the parts are smaller and fit down whole. And when you get stuff back at surface, you'd use like a quarter or a dime for scale. And it's kind of interesting to think about using that for scale, because you would barely be able to see it. So definitely using a pencil or, like you said, a banana or something like that really does it justice.
So arbitrary. If anybody knows the history of the banana for scale, please give us the background on the chat. We'd really appreciate it. Awesome. And I think that you mentioned there's a 1MZ, a Sapphire 1MZ part as well. So, and Zach, do you know the history of that one? Is this one that you've seen as well?
Yep. So I saw it was kind of after Rapid last year. I think we demoed it for the first time actually at Formnext is when we decided to print it. But it's a section view of kind of a full 1MZ integrated rocket nozzle. So you'll be able to see it, cross section in half and see all the kind of different internal cooling channels, as well as the injectors kind of at the other end of the nozzle. So it's a very, very impressive part, printed on the Sapphire 1MZ, printing with both lasers. So it's a very, very impressive part to show the full capabilities.
Nice. And there's a question coming in. Who would be the target audience, or who should come and see the giant stator?
Yeah, the giant stator. I mean, it's traditional turbo machinery. So turbo pumps, whether it's in the energy, oil and gas industry, or turbo pumps for rocket engines, any of the industries that are using turbo machinery.
Yeah, I'd also say, I mean, from just an area point of view, just a circumference point of view, it's probably going to be one of the largest parts, if not the largest part, at the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I could imagine somebody might be able to get something similar, but this is going to be one of the largest parts you'll be able to witness at Rapid. That's been printed with laser powder bed fusion.
And one of the cool things is seeing all the the shroud impellers and the other parts that are really good applications for us. You're going to see those from a Sapphire size, and then see this in an XC side, and all of those are have the ability on now to go kind of bigger on the Sapphire XC.
And I know you can't mention any one by name, but we've been printing some very large parts on our XC systems. Are there any that have really surprised you?
It just the kind of sheer size of some of the shroud impellers that we've been able to print, and obviously some of these stators as well. Like you said, they get to a weight and size that's it's not as easy just picking it up off a counter like it used to be.
Yeah, you're not going to handle these parts at the show anymore.
No, not at all.
Nice. And I know for folks who've been following us, we did have an announcement earlier in the year on Flow, which is a software you provide. And maybe Zach, you give a little bit of a background on what Flow is, and then specifically what we updated in Flow.
Yeah, absolutely. So Flow is part of our end-to-end solution. So it's our preprint software. So it takes in native CAD geometry and uses a set of qualified kind of recipes or processes to prescribe the right instruction set, and then that's then executed on the printers. And so up until now, we've been using that with the Sapphire 1MZs, and now that Sapphire XCs have been delivered and continue to be delivered, earlier this year releasing Flow 3.0 allowed full support for the 8 laser 600 millimeter diameter system. So the ability to slice these type of parts that like the stator you're going to see at the show.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Katelyn, is there any opportunity for them to get a demo of Flow?
Yes, we will have demos of both Flow and Assure in the booth. So if you're interested, reach out to us. We'll have a form on our website, and you can fill out. We can schedule a pre-show, so we can make sure we have a time and a meeting room booked for you, and we can have that one-on-one time where you can get a full demo. So just we'll be doing demos anytime. Stop by.
And I think we can put a link in the comments. So if you do want to book a meeting and see Velo live in person, we'll put a link in the comments there once this show's done. So check back once we post this recording, and you can get access to that.
And definitely from my history, having those one-on-ones where you get to go through, Flow, the actual preprint software, and then Assure, the quality software, being able to understand, from that side, what we do with the in-situ monitoring and the data in terms of the build reporting and the information you get, kind of showing those through those one-on-one engagements, it really just sinks in beyond seeing the parts and then seeing the system itself.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've had some conversations with universities, and you hear what they study when they study additive manufacturing, and then you show them Flow, and it's like, well, you've already incorporated everything that we're trying to do. That seems to be the biggest comment. Either Flow or Assure. Given the metrology suite, and it just, these are products that almost answer a lot of questions in the additive manufacturing industry and do it in a very powerful way.
And specifically Assure. So a lot of the the industry certification and specifications that we've been working on and others in the industry have been working on, a lot of the essential variables that people are wanting to see, track, and understand. Assure plays a big part in kind of logging that and presenting that as a build report when the print is complete, including the tool health as well. So the health of the actual optic system. So,
and I did note Brendan did post the link below, so thank you, Brendan, for that. Awesome job. He's always wanted to be a top performer. And Katelyn, you mentioned a couple speakers, so pretty excited to hear more about that.
Yes, we will have 4 speaking opportunities, and 2 will be panels, 2 will just be presenting to the audience. This slide shows the 4 different topics, the times, the dates. We will have 2 different presenters. One will be S.J. Jones, who is new to Velo3D, but very well known within the industry. To be asked to do 3 speaking opportunities at an event, I think that's amazing. So make sure you go and see SJ, connect, and it will be amazing. And then we also have Dr. Zach Murphy, who, if you follow Velo, I'm sure you know who that is. He's someone I just really enjoy listening to. He talks to the audience, whether I'm newer to the industry, a year now, so talks to everyone. So if you're an expert, if you're a newbie, that anyone can understand. Very genuine person, and it really shows through when he speaks. So I always enjoy listening to him. So make sure you go see those sessions. They should be great, as well as there's a variety of other speaking opportunities all on the Rapid website. It's no cost to register for the show to go on the exhibit floor. Some speaking opportunities may have a cost, but we do have a free code to register just for the show floor. So we'll put those in the comments as well to make sure you use that code, get into the floor for free, and come see us.
And there is a question regarding Zach's presentation. Will these presentations be posted? And this would include both Zach and SJ's.
You know what? I'm not positive. I think most are typically posted after a trade show, but we could find out and post that later and let the audience know. But
and I think even if they're not, kind of reaching out to us, I think we're always fairly happy with providing those slides.
Absolutely.
Yep. Very nice. And you mentioned a couple awards potentially.
Yeah, there is. We submitted 2 case studies for the Auburn AM Case Study Award. And 2 of those case studies, one was the IMI Critical Engineering Case Study. And that one really talks about the challenge was, having quick, reliable replacement parts within the oil and gas in the field, and how we help them using our Flow preprint software, where there was no redesign, no DFAM required, and we help improve the part performance and the supply chain scalability. So that was one of them. And then also the launcher case study, which was about improving critical rocket engine performance. And they worked with one of our CMs, and they took 2 separate parts and conjoined them to make a more efficient component. So I think you guys done some Velo virtuals on those as well, but it's all on our website as under our case studies. Those are a great read if you're interested.
Well, I know Zach is very familiar with the IMI study. Anything really stand out to you? What surprised you about that one, Zach?
It was just exciting to, part of our technology and how it's being adopted. Obviously, the space industry is using, like I said, laser powder bed fusion fairly readily. IMI has been a user of laser powder bed fusion for a while as well, and working with them to really kind of broaden the application space in oil and gas and some of the other industries that historically have not leveraged but are starting to leverage laser powder bed fusion. So that incorporated, one of the specifications that was coming out in API 20S. It was incorporated an oil and gas operator, the OEM itself, and all of us kind of working together to figure out not just how to solve this one problem, but really how to kind of scale it going forward, using what we call the golden print file, or the ability to print the same file on any of the Velo systems because of the way our end-to-end solution works.
Nice. There's a question here from David. David asks, very interested in lightweight metals for wind turbines. Is this something that, have we talked to anyone about using additive manufacturing in the wind turbine industry?
We've talked a little bit about that. A lot of the parts that have started off as kind of the proof of concept or POC parts have always been, too big, even sometimes for the XC platform. But this is a great example of where the technical side of our commercial team, so between tech sales and this business development group, where we come in. If there's some applications or some geometries that you have in mind that you would like to see and go through this analysis, what we do is, again, all this free of charge. We take the file, we put it into our preprint software, we go through the full analysis, and really our goal is to try to help build a business case from a cost, feasibility, and really get that to a 70-80% confident level, and then make a transition into the contract manufacturing network or the folks that actually have that system and that material to be able to produce the parts in production.
And it just sort of odd question, but what's the most, let's say, surprising or unexpected application that you've evaluated or your team's evaluating?
That I've evaluated, items for watches probably. And
for watches?
Yeah, for watches. That's probably that's one that I think most people are just like, no, I don't think so. But when you see some of the kind of need for, them being custom or one-off, it's an interesting business case when you really start kind of digging into it. So that's to, off the top of my head, that's probably one of the crazier ones I've seen.
That is a new one. I thought you were going to go with golf clubs, but
golf clubs is on the list for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting to see some of these applications that people come up with, but I think it's also really cool because it just opened up this whole world of innovation, and no matter what your industry is, it's changing what you can manufacture, which changes what you can design. So I think that connection between manufacturing and design is what we're seeing kind of everywhere.
Well, and what's been, the most amazing is really, whatever industry it is, whether it's aviation all the way down, like you said, golf clubs, everybody shares the same kind of manufacturing and engineering constraints and problems. Yep. It's a universal problem. It's a universal issue that we truly feel like with our end-to-end solution, we're able to help kind of across it. They call it different, different things, different certification processes, different names and nomenclature, but everybody's facing kind of the same challenges when they're in the design and manufacturing world.
Yeah, very true.
So true.
Katelyn, did you mention how people could meet up with us at Rapid in terms of registering? You said it was a free code. Did you have a code that you could give out for that?
Yes. If it is, we have the register link, and then we'll post in the chat there in a second. And you just go to that link, fill in the code, and that's, again, just for the exhibit floor. And then also in that link that Brendan posted, that is where if you want to have a one-on-one meeting with us, go in there, fill out that form, and we'll reach out to you. We'll coordinate a time that works with both of our schedules, and make sure we have that meeting room, get off your feet, have some coffee, and just let's discuss your problems and if Velo is the right person to help you. And we already have 40 meetings, and there's only so much time in the show. So go ahead, fill that out soon. But again, we can go. Our team does dinners and coffee before, so we're ready to meet as many people as we can.
So I was going to kind of add on, we're one of the more, I think, flexible when I've been to the conferences in terms of, like you said, if we can find a time in the morning or, after the event, then at least a handful of our folks will put something together. Whether it's a hotel conference room or, like you said, coffee at a bistro across the street.
Yes.
Nice, very cool. And we did put the promotion codes up. So one of the things I noticed, we are multi-streaming. So this does go to YouTube Live and LinkedIn Live. So if you're not seeing the promotion code or the link in your channel, let us know, and we'll make sure that it gets up in both channels. So it should be available to everybody at this point. Well, we're getting close to time. I do want to ask a couple finishing questions. These shows are live shows. We haven't had those in a while. Kind of getting a chance to dust off the business cards and go and see people face to face. Zach, what do you look forward to the most in these shows?
I think with these shows, it's really kind of seeing the new parts and seeing people's faces when they see the new parts. I think we're one of the only booths at Rapid and a lot of these kind of industry events where almost every single show, it's a new type of part, it's a new size part, it's a new material of parts, which really kind of shows us kind of flexing the muscles of our end-to-end solution. And so I think just seeing people's faces when they see those new parts, that it's not just the same part they saw, at Formnext last year, at Rapid last year. It's new additions every single time we show up. That's definitely one of them. The other one is the awards, like Katelyn talked about. I think it's awesome that we not only have a space application there, but we also have an oil and gas application.
Yeah. No, that is cool. Space gets a lot of publicity because I think there's a recent article there, like over 1,000 companies and $40 billion invested in the new space race, which is getting everything from LEO to Mars. Really cool. But then you've got energy extraction and getting more optimized in that field, which is just terrestrial applications. A ton of opportunity there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nice. Katelyn, what do you look forward to the most in these shows?
So that's mainly my job, is planning all these events. So all the hard work, I love to see how it, the booth at the end, what the team thinks, and it all comes to, it's finally here and it's successful. But as well as I'm newer to the industry, so just hearing how our team talks to all of the attendees, listening to the questions and really learning all the pain points and just continuing to educate myself within this industry. There's so many smart people that come to the show, and everyone they're experts. So it's really good for me to continue my learning and then take that feedback and put it into our other events throughout the year. But also I love the team bonding aspect of it. Just love being around people, meeting the attendees, talking to people. And like Zach said, when people come up and they're like, this isn't as printed, this was printed on your machine, and the shock on their face, that's another part of my favorite part. But it's good to be back in the field.
Yeah, I think that the social aspect is something that I kind of want to double down. I mean, we do so many Zoom calls, and even if you try to make a social Zoom call, like I know we have our Friday calls in the marketing team, it's just something you can't replace with everybody being all together in the same area and having, a coffee, Coke, or beer, or whatever you're having together. Yeah, it's you can get a lot of bridges built.
Yeah,
it's definitely made a huge difference. Like starting out this year, being able to go to customer sites, going to conferences, and just seeing people, like you said, it's a completely different engagement. So it's definitely super exciting.
Yes, and getting those parts in their hands, it's just totally different. And all three of us will be at the show. So if you come meet us in person, we're excited to be there.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, as you can all hear in the audience, we're extremely excited to be at the show next week. We've got a lot of great parts that'll be at the booth at 45, 44?
Over 45, yes.
So we're not shy about showing what our printers can do. We've got copper that we're showing for the first time. We've got an XC part we're showing for the first time. If you haven't had a chance to see the 1MZ part, that is an amazing part, in addition to all the other parts that we've done with our partners and customers. So thanks for everybody for joining us. Make sure you follow Velo3D so you'll get the latest schedule, and we'll see everyone next week.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.